My name's Spencer, aka Free Thrall, and welcome to my very first unboxing video, hence the abysmal framing. It's finally here. Cairn has reached the Cairn Gorms. I'm probably going to waffle on about how important this game is to me personally, how it's kind of the accumulation of everything I've been searching for since returning to the hobby in 2018. If you're a listener to my podcast, Keep Off the Borderlands, it's likely that you've heard all this stuff before. On rediscovering the hobby at the tail end of the G+ era, I was immediately drawn to rules-like games, namely David Black's Black Hack, Daniel Sell's Troika, and Chris McDowell's Into the Odd. Into the Odd being the standout favourite system and setting, I guess. These three games had been around for a number of years in one form or another. Troika was about to be released in its numinous edition and would be the first physical RPG purchase I made. The Black Hack second edition was the first box set I purchased, and Into the Odd was probably one of the first PDFs I printed off and turned into a booklet. Obviously, now I'm the proud owner of Electric Bastion Land and Into the Odd Revised, and very nice books they are too. But let's talk about this little beauty we've got here. Cairn, the complete second edition box set, to be precise. Thanks to Igloo Tree, who are distributing this in the UK. This piece of art here by Bruno Prosecco sets the tone nicely, I think. Three adventurers wandering through a dark forest, watched over by creatures of the night. We'll see these adventurers again on the cover of the guidebooks. This box feels very nice. Let's take a look inside. Cairn is a game that uses the Into the Odd rules, incorporating some ideas from Ben Milton's Maze Rats and Knave, and Isaac Williams' Mouse Ritter. And there they are, stuck up a tree, fending off some weird eldritch wolf-like beast. The D20 character background art is by Kenny Wijaya, and some wonderful art by Amanda Lee Frank. The silhouetted images really capture that fairy tale feel. This is the player's manual, of course. Essentially, all the rules you need to know are in this book. In fact, it's perfectly feasible to run the game using this book alone. I have seen a few other unboxings where folks have been a bit surprised by the additional player's guides, which were Kickstarter stretch goals. I think it's a really nice touch to be able to have these extra copies to hand out around the table. Now, the Warden's Guide. This book is a little chunkier than I'd anticipated. Cairn is an adventure game for one facilitator, the Warden, and at least one other player. Players act as hardened adventurers, exploring a dark and mysterious wood filled with strange folk, hidden treasure, and unspeakable monstrosities. There is so much stuff in here. World-building tools, a bestiary, creature creation, tables for naming locations, a spell list, magical items. Then there's some additional advice and examples of play, and more of Amanda Lee Frank's wonderful art throughout, of course. Just a really helpful book for creating content. This is the Adventure Anthology, 3 adventures by Amanda P., Brad Kerr, and ZXU, respectively. This is the first official adventure anthology for Cairn. This book contains 3 brand new adventures written by guest adventure writers, from mansions to mangroves, adventures designed for quick sessions or settings to play an entire campaign in. This is the perfect book for any table. That rather interesting bit of cover art there is by Ben Mara, with illustrations and cartography by Rob Matthews. The adventures are Dread Hospitality, a mansion adventure that explores the grotesque solipsistic nature of power and greed. Blood Mom Barrow. Player characters will investigate strange and supernatural happenings in a remote burial mound where bandits lurk and a powerful extraplanar creature secretly dwells. The Tide Returning. This is a campaign setting and hex crawl, set in a vast mangrove wood punctuated by giant building-sized trees. Dread Hospitality is by Amanda P. Blood Mom Barrow is by Brad Kerr. And The Tide Returning is by ZX Sue. Then we have Trouble in Twin Lakes, Cairn Adventure Series 1, an adventure module for Cairn 2E by the man himself, Yochai Gao. Cover art by Arimati Toivonen. Maps by Adam Hensley. I think Adam is responsible for the layout and design of all the books, actually, and a pretty incredible job he's done there. CAS1, Trouble in Twin Lakes, is the first in a series of standalone adventures for the Cairn 2E adventure game. The adventure revolves around two central mysteries for the party to solve. It includes various NPCs and antagonists, as well as multiple locations to explore. This adventure is suitable for both new and veteran players and works particularly well for characters still trying to find their place in a wild and potentially dangerous world. Although the region and its denizens are part of the broader Vauld setting, they can be easily incorporated into any low fantasy setting of your choice. A pad of nicely designed character sheets on some very thick paper. Very nice. And last but by no means least, the Walden screen. Not just a bit of cardboard, but a beautiful board-mounted affair. More of Bruno's fantastic art, really capturing that grim fairy tale folk horror tone. And what do we have on this screen? Marketplace. An items list with prices, procedures, scars table, rules summary, more procedures, dungeon events, wilderness events, and NPC generation tables. Very nice. Seems like a handy selection. While I do most of my gaming online, I can still see myself using this for a reference. Did I mention that this is the game that turned me from a player into a GM? And that was before the Walden Guide was even a thing. I'm extremely pleased to finally get my hands on this box of delights. Cairn is an adventure game about exploring a dark and mysterious wood filled with strange folk, hidden treasures, and unspeakable monstrosities. Have I read that out already? Anyway, a lovely little package. 3 players' guides, which are essentially all the rules you need. A Warden's Guide containing a ton of tools and supporting material. A fancy Warden screen. And 4 adventures. Thank you, Yochai, and everyone else who worked on this. And thanks to Igloo Tree for getting it to me. Really, really great stuff. I could not be happier. Anyway, there we have it. Thanks for indulging me.